The entire gacha community. Starting first in 2015, it's grown a lot, for the worse and the better. So here's an entire timeline of the gacha community. Remember that this video was made from the perspective of someone that has been in the community, well, sort of in the community, since about 2017. I've witnessed firsthand a lot of the events that have happened. Also, you might have noticed that my channel is a bit bigger than a week ago. I don't want to get into specifics, but basically, I may or may not have made a community post that blew up. Thank you so much to everyone for sharing it. Honestly, I'm just really glad that my post has impacted people. Going into this channel and making this type of content, my main goal is that I wanted to make an impact. I wanted to help this community get better and have a platform where people can discuss all their opinions in a lighthearted way. And I feel like that's finally starting to happen. So thank you so much for all the support recently. And so, without further ado, let's get into the entire timeline of the gacha community. Starting first in 2015, Lunime, otherwise known as Lucas Lee, founded Lunime. I'm actually not sure if it's pronounced Lumine, so don't take that as fact. Lunime would soon turn to be a group of artists making up to 11 games in total. 2015. Right after Lunime founded Lunime, he would soon create the first gacha game in the same year, 2015. This was called Anime Gacha. Although most of us know gacha as Gacha Life or Gacha Club, this is actually not the case. The word gacha is a system where you can roll for characters and items. The chance of getting certain characters and items is completely random, and this is exactly what Anime Gacha was. It was just a gacha simulator where you could roll for random anime characters. There were a total of 230 anime characters, and you could use those anime characters to go on battles. As probably expected, since this was Lumine's first game, Anime Gacha didn't do very well popularity-wise. 2016. Although it was a very good start, Lunime would go on to create his next game in 2016. This was called Gacha World, and it got a lot more traction. Instead of a random gacha pulling system, this game was instead a story game. The main plot was to save the world from corruption, and they can do this through the system of gacha by rolling for characters and using them to battle monsters. As you can see, this was definitely an upgrade from the last game that Lunime made. The following year would be where Lunime started to legitimately create a fan base to have it become what we know gacha is today. January 2017. The next year, in 2017, Lunime made a random meme-like game called Gacha Neko. This was basically just anime gacha, you know, the first game that Lunime made, but for cats. You'll notice later on that Lunime has a long history of creating a lot of irrelevant and meme games. May 10th, 2017. However, after this random game, Lunime created the game that would truly start it all, Gacha Studio, in the same year of 2017. This game is considered one of the 3 biggest games in Lunime, and this game is really what started to build the whole community. Gacha Studio was the first game that could allow a dress-up feature, although it's very limited compared to what we have today. Gacha Studio definitely had a much more anime style than Chibi style, like what we have now. It had very limited clothes, hair, and much more. You could barely even change the colors. Alongside this, you could also train and make pets. This was much less used than dress-up mode though. Although Gacha Studio wouldn't be widely used until later on in 2018, it definitely paved the way for the rest of the main gacha games. Later though, Lunime actually made the 3rd game in the span of 2017. This was called Gacha Resort. I personally found this one very interesting and kind of underrated, honestly, since I found the story of Gacha Resort to be very interesting. However though, it seemed a bit much. The whole game is very fan servicey, and although I haven't actually played this game, that was kinda to me. But anyways, Gacha Resort is a sequel to Gacha World, and it's kind of a beach theme. All the characters are on a vacation where they quickly have to save the world from corruption. This story game includes a gacha system too though. November 2017. And not only that, but Lunime made the 4th game in 2017. This was called Pocket Chibi. It's a much less known anime dress-up app, exactly like Gacha Studio. However, it was just Chibi. It had much less of an anime style proportions than Gacha Studio did. early 2018. Now, moving on to the first big event in our community specifically, in early 2018, many videos called The Hated Child began rising. It eventually went on to be the first trend in the entire community. Thousands of people were making videos called The Hated Child Becomes a Hybrid Princess, or things like that. Nowadays, these kinds of stories have turned into more of a joke within our community though. However, it was a big thing that actually a lot of people did and created. It was a big gateway into making creative works using gacha, and even though these mini-movies weren't that creative, it basically created the idea of storytelling using Gacha Studio and more. The Hated Child phase lasted about for 2 years, and many Hated Child movies are still being made right this second actually. I guess this trend will never go away, despite how popular it seems. The premise of a Hated Child video was like this. A mom and dad would have twins, one twin is a brat, the other twin is really nice. The mom doesn't like the nice twin, and the dad does like the nice twin. The nice twin gets abused all her life by her mom and sister, and somewhere along the way, the dad heads out of the story, or something. Eventually though, the nice twin marries a prince and becomes a princess. The end. Yeah, it's kind of dark thinking about it, and honestly, this probably foreshadows what was to come in our community later on. Nonetheless though, these types of mini-movies wouldn't stop. The Hated Child would influence many other mini-movie trends to appear, such as My Boss is My Ex-Husband, Celebrity in Disguise, The Alpha Marked Me, and more. There's a lot of gacha alpha videos. January 25th, 2018. Now, around the same time, it was January 25th, 2018. This is a day that a YouTuber who used to go by EmilyKitty, but now goes by BeauBagels, uploaded episode 1 of their series School Surprise. For the size of the community, the video went viral. It made EmilyKitty one of the fastest growing and biggest gachatubers of the time. This eventually spiraled into a bunch more episodes of the series, and it was extremely loved at the time. It was definitely one of the biggest series. April 1st, 2018. After this though, on April 1st, Lunime released a game called Meme Gacha. And yes, the date that they released it was intentional. It's called Meme Gacha for a reason. It was basically just to create memes inspired off of Lunime. This is probably the most well-known spin-off app, mostly because it was glaringly obvious that it was created for memes, and it was also published on April 1st. May 2018. However, shortly after that, Lunime made another game. In May of 2018, they published Gacha Memories. This is another story game, similar to Gacha Resort. You know, the fan service game. It's a romantic visual novel where the player can hang out and become close with many different characters. However, like most of these types of games, it didn't do that well in terms of audience, due to the game being pretty basic. June 26, 2018. So, moving on from that, one of the biggest events of 2018 would start and end the same year. The YouTuber named CuteSpud uploaded a video called That One Mute Girl Episode 1. This went viral, leading to CuteSpud becoming the biggest gacha YouTuber at the time. Their subscriber count raised and kept on going until a certain point. However, while CuteSpud was having fun with all of that, another one of the biggest events of 2018 would start. June 19th, 2018. As of June of 2018, Gacha League or Gachaverse was available to play. Gacha League had been in development for a while, and it was basically a prototype of Gachaverse. Gacha League was much more devoted to the lore and story side, along with the battle units. However, Lunime abandoned this idea and went along with Gachaverse. Gachaverse was an intense step up from Gacha Studio, seeing as it had much more customizable options. There's a much larger range of colors, a much larger range of style, hair, clothes, and literally everything in the game. The style also completely changes from Gacha Studio as well. Gacha Studio was more focused on an anime style, and Gachaverse was much more devoted to a chibi and mini style. Gachaverse ended up getting a lot of attention, and it really made a lot of benefits for expanding the community. Members of the community started quickly switching to Gachaverse. This spiked a lot more videos centering around gacha as well, which was really beneficial for growing the community. A lot more people were making stories, music videos, and much more. The abbreviation GVMV, standing for Gachaverse Music Video, and GVMM, standing for Gachaverse Mini Movie, and much more were starting to become a big thing. August 27th, 2018. And from this date, the mini-movie called I Hate You by DailyPotato went viral. This caused their channel to blow up, and they're very well known for a lot of their viral videos. Some examples of their really big videos are Things I Hate in Gacha videos, the mini-movie of I Hate You, the sequel to I Hate You, and Having a Twin, the mini-movie. September 18th, 2018. And while all this stuff was happening, something pretty unexpected happens, which would soon end CuteSpud's time on YouTube. CuteSpud uploaded the last video that they would ever upload as of today. On September 18th, 2018, CuteSpud uploaded their Cotton Candy Skies animation meme. And after months of not posting and completely disappearing off of the internet, the whole community kind of freaked out. Like, a lot. Many gachatubers, some even as big as literally Johan, talked about the situation. No one really knew where they went. However, it was later revealed that CuteSpud just lost motivation and stopped. The interesting thing about this, though, is that there have been many big gachatubers in the community that have just stopped posting randomly. However, CuteSpud was the only one that got any attention from stopping their posts. There's no real reason for this, however, I think it's just that they were the #1 gachatuber at the time. October 20th, 2018, the day that Gacha Life released. This was definitely a very big update for the community in general, and this was definitely the game that gave Gacha and the community the most attraction. For the better and the worse down the road. Gacha Life was also a very big update from Gachaverse, which had a lot more customizable options. The game also had a very different feel to it. Like what happened with Gacha Studio updating to Gachaverse, almost everyone in the community switched from Gachaverse to Gacha Life. It had all the components of Gachaverse, but just updated and improved upon. So far, things seem to be going pretty well. Despite the weird obsession with hated children, and overall having an interesting fanbase, the Gacha community seemed like a wholesome one. Despite CuteSpud leaving, everything was pretty much really positive. The community was full of kids having fun making weird Gacha content, and even if a lot of mini-movies and content were unoriginal and very inspired, at the end of the day, people were just having fun. It wasn't that bad. December 5th, 2018. So this is probably just going to be a quick timeline event to keep things lighthearted before probably the lowest part of this video. And that is on December 5th, 2018, It's Crystal Snow uploaded a boys versus girls singing battle. This ended up getting 15 million views. It mainly caused an uproar of the boys versus girls singing battle trend. This is something that almost everyone did, and it's really easy to compare this situation to the hated child situation. It's basically a trend that never dies, even if it's not a trend anymore. These videos will always exist. It's basically a trend that never dies, and although they're pretty cringy the majority of the time, they're still sometimes fun to watch. This is the premise. There are about 3 to 5 girls and 3 to 5 boys. Somehow they all want to do a singing battle, and so that ended up in all of them singing in turns. Usually the last boy that goes is super good at singing, and the last girl that goes is usually super godly at singing too. Spoiler, there's usually a lot of crying somehow. But anyways, overall, it's just lighthearted fun. April 5th, 2019. I think this probably marks the beginning of the downfall in the Gacha community. As of April 5th, 2019, a well-known YouTuber named pkrussl posted a video called The Disturbing Truth About the Gacha Community. Now, I have a lot of opinions on pkrussl, none of which are really good, but that's not for this video. I'll link another video in the description if you actually want to know who this guy is. This video goes into detail about a not very known portion of the community at the time, which is basically the dark side of the Gacha community. In the video, he features a lot of very interesting content. It's talking about how this content made by kids features a lot of cringy sexual topics. I won't go into much detail since I really don't want to go into much detail, but to summarize, the stuff in the video is definitely very bad. The video ended up getting almost 800,000 views as of right now. This caused a lot of people to be influenced by this video and make their own videos on what we know now as Gacha Life Cringe. There's a whole subreddit for it with a lot of members too. There are honestly countless videos on it created by non-Gacha members and Gacha members themselves about just Gacha Life Cringe. These videos are still made today. These types of videos don't plan on stopping anytime soon, and it's basically given this community the reputation of a literal cringe fest. If you said you liked the Gacha app, any of the apps really, someone not from the community would most likely make fun of you for it. Honestly, almost anyone in the community is really just viewed as a cringy person. These videos brought a lot of attention to the dark side of the community. And let me emphasize, it brought a lot of attention. The community was basically known for making this type of content. And honestly, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. It makes you wonder, you're discussing an issue that needs to be talked about, but at the same time, you're also just bringing attention to that issue. And sometimes, you just want to ignore the issue so that they can go away. So that fact makes you wonder if it's worth talking about. If it's a situation where you're not bringing up any new points, and you're simply just giving attention to an issue that should be going away, is it really worth talking about? Now, I don't want to accuse anyone of making an unnecessary video by any means. It's just something interesting to think about, since when you're discussing problems, you most likely want to get rid of those problems. But by bringing attention to it, that could potentially create more people to encourage the problem. And I think that's exactly what happened. More and more people started creating this type of content, and of course, people covered that. I do want you all to gain your own opinions on that though. Personally, for me, I think it really depends on the situation. Sometimes things do need to be talked about, and by doing that, you'll also have to face the consequences of bringing attention to an issue that should be going away. But if the situation isn't talked about, it won't go away since no one is acknowledging that it exists. But sometimes it can go overboard. That's just my opinion though. So during all of this, Looney didn't do much. He actually did nothing for about half a year until a certain point. Late 2019. During this time period, the unoriginally factor really started to uprise in the community. Now, I'd be lying if I said that our community wasn't ever really that original, but this began to be really stale. The only videos that were actually making their way into the algorithm to get views were mini-movies and music videos of the exact same thing. I'm not kidding when I say that these mini-movies even had the same titles. Some really common ones are My Boss is My Ex-Husband, Celebrity in Disguise, The Alpha Marked Me, and a lot more. Alpha videos were really common, and it ended up making the community really stale. No new content was coming out since so many channels felt like clones of each other, and this is definitely still a problem today. I actually made 2 videos on the issue myself. The unoriginality was also a big reason as to why the community was getting a lot of hate too. I mean, imagine first getting into the community only to see about 1 million videos on Mafia Alpha Gacha Boy. Probably wouldn't be a very good first impression. This type of content still goes on today though, and that would soon end up having a big effect on how people perceive this type of content, all thanks to one YouTube video later down the line. January 2020. Around January of 2020, Looney posted an update to Gacha Life. This is getting rid of all potentially sexual content in the entire game, which was somehow taken very poorly from the community. Honestly, the community was begging for almost half a year to have Looney stop this type of content. However, once he did, the entire community got mad for some reason. The community mainly got upset because Looney got rid of all content that could be potentially sexual. A lot of people don't use it for that purpose, but also a lot of people did and still do, unfortunately. Eventually though, the backlash died down. People kind of just dealt with the fact that they had some content that they liked taken away, and that was kind of the end of it. April 25th, 2020. Now, this is much more lighthearted than what I just discussed, and this is probably my favorite part of the timeline just because I'm a voice actor myself. On April 25th, 2020, the YouTuber RosyClozy uploads episode 1 of her voice-acted series, The Music Freaks. Now, I'm writing this down because I genuinely think it was a very big moment for our community. It was an insane step up from the old content, and it definitely, as expected, went viral. It has 5 million videos on it right now, and that's just on the first episode. I'm not exaggerating when I say that there is legitimately a fandom and whole community just for this gacha series. And personally, I find that really cool. One of the reasons why The Music Freaks got so much hype is mainly because it was voice acted. Now, there has been one voice acted mini-movie before, however, it didn't get nearly as much traction as this one. This series also began basically a wave of more voice acted series. Some really notable ones are Royal Fairy Academy by Same DNA, Celebrity High by Notzoey, Spirit Animals also by Notzoey, Idolize by Idolize, and much more. These series are honestly super impressive. It's definitely a step up in the community, and it's definitely a very much needed one too. June 4th, 2020. On this day, the popular and well-known YouTuber Milyie posts a video called Fashion Week Meme. This is currently sitting as one of the most viewed gacha videos, and it definitely deserves it. The animation is something that really blew the community away, and it was a very big step in animation, which, like the voice-acted series, is a much-needed step in the community. June 29th, 2020. After this game being countlessly teased and hyped up for a long time, the new game Gacha Club finally came out. People in the community were pretty much going insane, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that Gacha Club is so much better. There were so many more colors, customizable options, and everything was just way more detailed. People can make extremely smooth animations just from using the app itself, and without having to do any extensive editing. Honestly, just from my experience, I was super happy when Gachaverse, Gacha Life, and all the other games came out, but Gacha Club is definitely my favorite and still is. Anyways, things seem to be going really well again. Even after the community took a really big hit, the events that were happening were really good, but the videos about Gacha Life cringe definitely didn't stop. They were still going, and the reputation was definitely being destroyed, despite all these good things happening. And even though later in the timeline things got better, the gacha community was left with this reputation, and I don't think it'll ever be repaired. September 13th, 2020. On this day, a well-known YouTuber named LilyTrescot MSP hit 1 million subscribers. This was the first person to ever hit 1 million subscribers in the gacha community. They're mostly known for their mini-movies, such as Why Her Not Me, A Human in an All-Alpha School, I Hate You Brother, and a lot more videos, including a lot more alpha videos. Although Lily's videos are more classic mini-movies that you usually see as trends, they usually got a lot of views, and I mean like millions of views, which is a lot. And although Lily was the first to hit 1 million subscribers, 2 other YouTubers would soon hit 1 million subscribers not too long after. October 24th, 2020. Not too long after Lily hit 1 million subscribers, Milyie would as well. On October 24th of 2020, Milyie got 1 million subscribers. I already mentioned her earlier, but she's mostly known for her animation memes. They're honestly very impressive, and this is just proof that the community was growing even more. November 28th, 2020. Our second to last stop on the timeline. As of November 28th, the popular YouTuber Notzoey posts a video complaining about trends in the community, and this honestly had a big impact on how people view these trends nowadays. Of course, it didn't get rid of these trends by any means, but it caused a lot of people to try and change their mindset on the topic and try to stop the trends. But I'm not kidding when I said that this video literally didn't do anything. These types of videos are still being pumped out very often, but if you weren't a part of the sub-community that likes this kind of content, you usually didn't respect this content or like it at all. December 15th, 2020. And now for our last stop on the timeline. The YouTuber RosyClozy, you know, the one that created the Music Freaks, hit 1 million subscribers on December 15th. This marks the third and final YouTuber as of now to hit 1 million, and honestly, it was something that was being anticipated for a while. So when it happened, everyone was really happy and excited overall. And that's all. That is my video on the entire timeline of the Gacha community. This video took a bit to make, and I'd be lying if I said that it wasn't a challenge, but it was also really fun to make. And by the way, thank you if you made it this far. Hopefully this video did something helpful in some way. Honestly, I think this community's growth is a big representation of how one video or action can cause a change that will last for a while and even permanently. It was also a good representation for me of how fast a community can fall. Despite the whole year being left off on a good note, the community is still kind of considered a huge wreck. And I mean, with all the Gacha Alpha Super Mega Ultra Bad Boy videos, I definitely don't understand that personally, because those videos are the highlight of the community, just saying. But anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you for watching, and see ya!